Performance management means systematically managing all the people in an organization for innovation, goal focus, productivity and satisfaction. Hence, performance management is the approach of the management of people using performance, planned goals and objectives, measurements, feedbacks and recognitions to motivate people to realize their maximum potential. Performance management has been also defined as a strategic and an integrated approach to delivering sustained success to organization by improving performance of people who work in them and by developing the capabilities of team and individual contributors. The important aspect of performance management is performance appraisal, where a clear set of quantifiable goals and objectives are used to measure an individual performance against their goals. Now, few principles of performance management system would go like this. These things will support business oriented strategy always, right? They'll help you towards the business orientation. Is value based. Performance management communicates organizational mission. Performance management fulfills responsibilities to organizational members. It enables employees to manage own performance, manages expectations, clarifies roles and responsibilities, creates partnership between management and employee, emphasizes importance of management, feedback and reinforcement. It empowers employees and it's natural extension of management. Key performance management questions which you should think of, right, when it comes to performance management is why assess performance? It's a very important question to think about it. Why assess performance? If you do not assess a person's performance, then they would just do and they do not know really whether they're doing a good job, not good job, bad job, or they're actually a weight on you, a liability for you. Now, once you assess on you figure out that you need to assess performance, the next thing is what performance to assess. You need to figure out, answer these key questions like what performance you want to assess. Once you figure out of an individual, depending upon his job, his role, his goals and his tasks, what performance to assess, you need to figure out how to assess the performance, right? Many a times it's difficult for us to assess the performance in a very objective way, and we need to figure out how well we can do, because objectively if you assess a performance, it works much better than being very, very subjective. Who should assess performance? Right? You got to also figure out for this particular person's assessment, who is the one who's supposed to do that, and when to assess performance, how often, or what is the time period, what is the frequency of it. We need to figure out when to do the assessment, and also how to communicate performance assessment. There is no point of assessing a performance and you do not communicate it. If you do not communicate it, they would not get on what they need to work ahead to ensure things happen good. So those are key questions that you should keep in mind. Quickly to recap, why assess a performance, what performance to assess, how to assess performance, who should assess performance, when to assess performance, and how to communicate performance assessment. These key questions should be answered first. Only then the performance management works. Performance management process, let's understand this. Performance management process: setting and communicating performance standards. The next level is measuring standards. The next level is comparing standards, and then the next is discussing result. Further, you take corrective standards. Now, how it works is, when I say setting and communicating performance standards will lead to plan the performance, which means identify and communicate performance goals, establish performance criteria. When I said measuring standards will lead to determine appraisal period and method. Responsibilities for appraisal will further lead to anticipate and consider problems in performance appraisal, effective performance appraisal system. The third one talks about comparing standards, which could lead to examine work performed. I know you would have different management support for that, which could be coaching, training and development. The fourth one is discussing result, which leads to appraise the results. And the fifth one, which says take corrective standards, will lead to conduct appraisal interview. So you discuss the goal for the next period, and then it moves on to the first stage, which says setting and communicating performance standard, and that's how the process works. There is a lot of employees' role as well when it comes to performance management. If an employee doesn't have a work profile within the first month of the employment, he should ask his supervisors when he can meet to put one together. It's important. It's something which an employee should also can also push all the time, to have a clear work profile for himself or herself. Bring to your supervisor's attention condition or circumstances that are changing during the review year, which could impact your ability to complete a performance expectations. Ask your supervisor periodically how you are doing, and ask for it, at least one meeting midway through the review period to discuss how your performance is been happening, how your performance is measuring up to the expectations or not. If you disagree with your performance rating you received, check to see if you achieved results which are not included in the evaluation. Remember that this is an evaluation of results, not activities. You might always feel I have put a lot of effort, but what actually would work out is what is the result, what is it that you have achieved out of it, not just the effort that has gone in. Discuss with your superior. Any questions you have about your evaluation. Why is it to your expectation? Seek out a member of HR department to discuss your result. It's important. Now there is something called as a balanced scorecard. A balanced scorecard is a management tool that provides stakeholders with a comprehensive measure of how the organization is progressing towards the achievements of its strategic goal. The balanced scorecard typically talks about balances financial and non-financial measures, balances short and long-term measures, balances performance drivers, which are leading indicators, with outcome measures, which are lagging indicators. It should contain just enough data to give complete picture of the organization performance, not more, as much is required should be there. Lead to strategic focus and organizational alignment. So the possible performance measures, which could be customer perspective, could be measured, financial or regulatory perspective can be measured, internal perspective, and then the fourth one is learning and growth. These could be the possible performance measures. Targets for that could be targets needs to be set for all measures. If you have not set a target, then what do you measure? How do you measure it, right? Should have a solid basis, right? Targets help to give personnel something for which to aim. If achieved, will transform the organization, right? Targets when achieved will transform the organization. The next thing to keep in mind is initiatives. Once measures and targets are established, it is responsibility of management to determine how the organization will achieve its goals. Measures are used to determine the effectiveness of strategic initiatives. Performance measurement for the organization basically to give feedback to the staff about their performance, encourage good work, and points towards improvement opportunity. It helps setting measurable targets and objectives. It increases role clarity, right? Helps to point out training and development needs. When you set up a performance management in place, it so clearly it says what would be the training needs and how do the organization need to proceed towards that. It helps to decide compensation and reward. You would understand only when you measure whether people are supposed to earn more than what they are doing, or can there be change in the compensation, maybe positive or negatively, depending upon the kind of results that they have performed and kind of efforts which you wanted to give. It will also help in career planning, right? When performance is measured rightly, you would know what is next, how do I plan towards, how do I get to the next level, what needs to be done towards that. It enhances corporate value as well. There are a few characteristics of performance management. Performance managed organizations are likely to have these following characteristics. They are measurable performance targets. Always they should have targets which could be measurable. Something which you can't measure could be always in ambiguity, right? It's like you would talk more on the effort, but then organization would look from more on the result side of it. Manage learning linked with organization goals on the one hand and with the career development on the other hand. Preeminence of intrinsic needs of managers without neglecting their extrinsic needs is also the characteristics of performance management organization. Ownership of performance management by line management rather than personnel function. It's important to have it from the line management. A strategy focused organization. When I say, that say there could be a vision. Basically during the vision you would look for what we aspire to be. Then a mission, which basically talks about what we do. It will also have strategies followed by that, which says how to accomplish our goals. And then the most important thing over here is the measures. The performance measures, what I'm talking about, are the indicators of our progress towards the goals that we have been talking about. When we say performance indicators, there are many for different ways. You need to work towards it and be very clear about each of these key performance indicators. We're going to discuss few of these indicators, right, that can be used in measuring performance. For example, employee productivity is one of the key performance indicator. Now, how do you measure employee productivity? Average sales turnover per employee, can be average profit per employee, can be value added per employee. That's how you need to see when it comes to employee productivity. When we say employee cost as a key performance indicator, look at employees cost as percentage of sales turnover or profit, or employment cost per employee, or employment cost as a percentage of operating costs. The third key performance indicator could be employees turnover or loyalty. It can be percentage of employees that leave the organization in a given time period, or average length of service. The next indicator can be recruitment process. Like it includes average lead time to recruit employee, or average cost of recruiting of employees. Right, average number of applications received per vacancy can also be a measure towards recruitment process. When we say remuneration and benefit benchmarking, the key performance indicator, it could work this way: average salary paid versus competition or industry and geographical norms. Benefits provided versus compensation or industry, and then again geographical norms is how you do the key performance indicator for remuneration and benefit benchmarking. The next key performance indicator can be willingness of employee to recommend the company as an employer. Percentage of employees who are willing to recommend the organization as an employer to a friend. Percentage of applicants, appointees that have received recommendation from current employees could also be a key performance indicators. Employee development can be a key performance indicator. Then it could work like percentage of employees that develop individual development plan, or percentage of employees that fully execute their individual development plan. Employee career coaching can also be a key performance indicator, which talks about percentage of employees that participate in career coaching, or percentage of employees that have been assessed in the assessment center. Skills or competencies availability can also be a key performance indicator, like average lead time to develop skills or competencies that are required, average lead time to close sales or competencies gap, or percentage of required skills, competencies available within the organization. So skills and competencies availability can be a key performance indicator, which leads to average lead time to develop skills and competencies that are required, average lead time to close skills or competency gaps, or percentage of required skill competencies available within the organization. Training budget can also be a key performance indicator, like expenditure on training and staff development per employee in a given period of time. Employee satisfaction with training programs can also be a key performance indicator, which leads to percentage of training courses participants that are satisfied or highly satisfied with the courses or programs, or percentage of training courses participants that are dissatisfied or highly dissatisfied with the courses or programs. Impact of training can also be a key performance indicator. Percentage difference of the rate of productivity before and after training, difference of defects rate or before after training, or proportion of training programs resulting in productive improvements. Employee satisfaction could also be a key performance indicator, like employee satisfaction survey index. Employee motivation can be a key performance indicator, which could be the percentage of employees that are committed to the organization goals and objectives, or percentage of employees that are considered to be highly motivated. Availability of training courses can also be a key performance indicator, which typically talks about percentage of training courses that match organization requirement, or training courses that match employees' personal requirement, or average number of courses required but not offered. Internal promotions and opportunities can also be a performance indicator, which typically talks about average lead time to promotion, or average lead time for promotion from bottom grade to the senior management, or percentage of managers or senior managers who have been promoted internally. So there are a lot of key performance indicators which I have gone through in this particular module. Each of these would help you to set up your performance management in a right track.